Good afternoon and good morning or good evening, based on wherever you are in the world, and welcome to this webinar co-organized by the Ethical Toy Program, the Vietnamese Chamber of Commerce, and the Asia Toy and Play Association. And we also have the pleasure to have on board the Vietnamese Foreign Investment Agency. The webinar, Supply Chain in Diversity, will give an introduction on the Vietnamese business environment and the opportunity that the Vietnamese market has to offer for toy companies and toy, and the toy ecosystem. We have a very busy schedule, I would say, today, and very distinguished speakers. Perhaps I'll wait a couple of minutes for a few more attendees to join in before we start. Maybe give it another minute or so. So everyone will be on mute, and there is on your right-hand side a chat function box where you can submit your questions. We will try to answer all those questions within the hour, but if we do not manage to do so, we will answer via email with the follow-up on this webinar. The webinar is recorded, and you will be receiving a recording link to listen to it and to watch it later on. I believe without further ado, let me quickly go through the agenda for today. As I mentioned, we have quite a packed agenda with distinguished speakers from Vietnam, Singapore, as well as Europe. And after the opening remarks by Mr. Do from the Vietnamese Chamber of Commerce and the Vietnam-Singapore Business Council, we will have Ms. Lizum Mishra, which is chairperson for ATPA, the Asia Toy and Play Association, as well as senior director for Government and Public Affairs Asia Pacific in the Lego Group, followed by Ms. Nguyen. Sorry about my pronunciation. Then I will share a little bit more about the toy industry and the toy market in Vietnam. And followed, there will be a VCCI talking about the opportunities and the incentives that the government has. And at the end, Carmel Giblin from the Ethical Toy Program will share a bit more of what the Ethical Toy Program does and how it can help you. I think we are ready to start, and I would like to invite Mr. Do Minh Phu, VCCI board member, as well as chairman of the Vietnamese Singapore Business Council, chairman of the Doji Group and Tien Phong Commercial Banks, and also honorary professor of Academic Union, Oxford, UK, to give some short remarks. Mr. Do, please, the floor is yours.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Greeting from Vietnam. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Vietnam Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Vietnam-Singapore Business Council, I would like to send my warmest welcome to all delegates to our webinar today. First of all, let me share some information of Vietnam-Singapore Business Council, VFBC. Our council was established on July 2019 by Vietnam Chamber of Commerce and Industry and Singapore Business Federation. VFBC comprises of business leaders from Vietnam, both and Singapore, who have exciting and potential interest in the prospective market to strengthen the economic cooperation of two sides. I'm happy to share some highlights of Vietnam that with the direction of the Vietnam government and the effort of the business and people, we successfully achieved the dual goal of prevent pandemic simultaneously with developed social economic. Vietnam economy achieved positive result with the GDP growth rate of 2.91%, is among the highest in the world. I also want to share some information of toy market in Vietnam. and tell you this market is divided into three main groups. One, education. Two, healthcare. And the third, all other products and services for children up to 12 years old. Group 3 account for about 3.1 billion US dollar, of which dairy product and nutritional food alone account for 1.2 billion US dollar per year. Another product including toys, clothes, diapers, hats account for about 1.1 billion US dollar. Entertainment services for the children also up to 700 million US dollar per year. According to unofficial statistics, Chinese enterprise account for more than 80% market share coverage. Joining the toy market of Vietnam over the years, there are still some big names emerging, such as Chợ Lớn Plastic Company, Văn Minh Educational Toy Equipment Company, Anitona Company, Long Thủy Plastic, LSG, Đại Đông Tiến. But the product of these businesses are still lacking a foothold in the children toy market. Currently, in Vietnam, there are about 100 domestic establishments producing professional children toys, of which many kinds of stuffed animal, wooden toys, and plastic toys have been favored by consumers. Foreign toy manufacturers are also increasingly interested in Vietnam market, from opening agent to sell product to planning to invest in production here. With a total population of about 97 million people, of which the proportion of children aged up to 14 years old account for 30%. Vietnam is considered a potential market for the children toy industry, especially when the standard of living of the majority of the people are improving day by day. Later in this webinar, the representative of the Foreign Investment Agency of the Ministry of Planning and Investment of Vietnam will share further information for you. Thank you very much for your attention. I wish the webinar successful. Thank you.
Mr. Phu, thank you so much for your remarks, and for sure it's great to hear the potential that Vietnam has, and also the size I would say that the market has to offer for companies, which is I think we're gonna go a bit more deeper into the market, in the toy Vietnamese market later on. Now, if I can invite Ms. Lizum Mishra, Senior Director of Government Affairs and Government and Public Affairs Asia Pacific from the Lego Group, and also Chairperson for the Asia Toy and Play Association, to share a little bit more about ATPA and give her opening remarks. Lizum, please.
Thank you, Matteo, and thank you so much for having me. So let me just do a quick introduction about ATPA and set the context of what our priorities are before handing it over. So we are an international coalition of toy and play industry players. We are headquartered in Singapore, but we look at all of Asia Pacific except China. Our members are household brands such as Mattel, the Lego Group, Hasbro, Ferrero, Feld. So you may have heard of a lot of these great brands. We partner very closely, of course, with the Ethical Toy Program, Invest India, React. We partner with the Toy Association of the United States, TIE Europe, and the Australia Toy Association, as well as the Hong Kong Toys Council. Our priorities are fourfold. We're committed to children's safety, and what that means is product safety, so safety of the highest standards in products, and of course, digital well-being. So as children increasingly start playing online and spending more time online, especially in the COVID and post-COVID context, it's really important to have principles of digital well-being also ingrained. Of course, we promote learning through play, and that's extremely important, especially in the skills development context for 21st century skills. Responsible leadership is another area where we are leaders in advocating for issues that impact the growth of the sector. And finally, last but not least, all our members have very diverse and complex supply chains. So we're committed to ethical sourcing, responsible sourcing, and especially the free flow of goods and supplies in manufacturing. Next slide, please. And how do we do this? We do this, of course, through public policy. So we collaborate very closely with governments in Asia Pacific to ensure that children have access to safe and high quality toys. We also build public awareness, especially on the topics, as I said, of learning through play, sustainability, product safety, and we engage with policymakers, educators, business leaders on these topics. Business support is another new area that we're really focusing on, and we help new businesses who want to expand and grow in the complex Asia Pacific market. We help them understand the strategies for expansion, regulatory challenges, and also, of course, help them with networking opportunities and also introduce them to some potential new customers. And finally, of course, we carry out a range of events, seminars, trainings, webinars, partnering very closely with our industry partners on key topics. And Matteo and the team lead a very effective program on this. And of course, we are here to answer any more questions if you wish on any of these aspects. Thank you, Matteo.
Thanks, Lizum, for the introduction to APTA, and later on I'll share a little bit more on exactly what we are doing. I'm actually very proud that we are right on time, and I have now the pleasure to introduce Mr. Vin, senior expert of the ASEAN section of the Foreign Investment Agency of the Ministry of Planning and Investment of Vietnam. We really have the honor to have the government to grace and to give the a presentation and on the investment opportunities in Vietnam. I think over the past years we've seen that Vietnam is really becoming a strong market, attracting a lot of FDIs from all over the world, as well as from in particular also from ASEAN. So I'm very interested to learn more from Mr. Vin, and also what really to understand more what Vietnam has to offer. Mr. Vin, the floor is yours.
Welcome everybody, ladies and gentlemen. With the permission of the leader of Foreign Investment Agency of Vietnam, we belong the Ministry Planning Investment of Ministry. I'm very pleasure to participate this discussion online conference on the topic introduced to business environment and opportunity in toy sector in Vietnam. First of all, on behalf of FIA, we warmly welcome and appreciate the efforts of Asian Toy Association, the AN Vietnam Chamber VCCI, to organize the conference amidst the complicated development of pandemic in the region and in all the global. This important conference demonstrates the concern and expectation about the investment cooperation by the Asian Chamber business community. Even like this inspire our action to further contain the pandemic, recover and development the economy in the new normal. The proactively improve the business and investment environment, soon creating a more favorable, open, and attractive condition for the investor in the coming time. Ladies and gentlemen, Vietnam and other countries in the world, we are going through the different time due to the impact of COVID-19. Investment, production, and business activity related to the global supply chain and supply raw material to production and consumption has been disrupted, resulting of economic stagnation, job loss, and many social complications. Major economic and also the largest economy are facing worst economic recession ever. Many scenarios was a project for the whole economy after the dynamic, but most of them point out that recovery original and global economic and FDI flow after the 2020 and even 2021 depend on heavily on the possibility of the content of the COVID-19 pandemic. Vietnam, we are with the success of content of the COVID-19 pandemic up to now, is among a few countries maintain positive growth. Mr. Phu have just talk about it. And so, but I want to repeat again, by the end of 2020, Vietnam economy reacts about the FDI, get the 343 billion US dollars in GDP, and the income about the 3,500 US dollar per person. According to the World Bank, Vietnam in the top 10 of highest growth economic. I think that we can get all the information in the media in the world, but the average we are to calculate about the growth rate for the period time of 2016 up to 2019, we get average about 6.8%. And for the 2021, the National Assembly and government to have a success GDP growth rate, Vietnam reached about 6%, and GDP per capita about the 700 US dollar per person. Ladies and gentlemen, with regards to foreign investment in 2020, the total newly registered capital attracted and contribute capital to buy sell the foreign investor, we reached 28.5 billion US dollar, equal about the 75% compared with the same time in 2019. The realized capital foreign direct FDI, we estimate about the 19.9 billion US dollar, nearby 20 billion. Equal get about the 98% compared to the 2019. This number to talk about that we get effect not so much from the COVID-19 and accumulate to the end of the 2020 whole the country we have get 33,000 projects and with the total investment about the 384 billion US dollar. And so that the foreign FDI project was the realized pro capital reached about the 231 billion US dollar, around about the compared with the registry capital about 60%. The COVID-19 pandemic, with several dams, the production business, Vietnam, we are the same. And however, many FDI enterprise in Vietnam recovering, maintaining, and expanding their current project. Many foreign investors choose and want to invest in Vietnam again. But now the most important that the travel and immigration restriction is a reason to limitation to business. Through in the implemented invest capital in 2020, we can get the more the pay attention from the foreign investor in Vietnam. We have some number you can say and read again, but I can repeat again here. The number of new projects in the fourth quarter of 2020 still increased 9% compared the third quarter of 2020, and the number of projects which attracts the capital increased about 26% and 80% and 45% compared with another quarter before. It's the most impressive, the attracted investment capital increased compared with 2019 about 10.6%. And Vietnam continue total get the trade plus a nearby 19 billion in 2020, which is a surplus by FDI sector, include crude oil, amount about 34.6 billion US dollar, while the domestic sector experience have a trade deficit about the 15.6 billion US dollar. In the context of the sharp global investment decline due to the COVID-19, Vietnam accumulated a much better result compared to another country, to demonstrating Vietnam attractive to international investors. Ladies and gentlemen, for toy and production and raw material manufacture supporting this sector, Vietnam encourage domestic and foreign investors to invest in Vietnam. Although the toy industry is not specifically incentive, but the enterprise in this sector can receive the incentive when investing in the encouraged area. Vietnam also offer other incentives applied to business using science and technology, innovation, and R&D, and so on. According to the law of investment, the law number 61, 2020, due dated 17 June of 2020, foreign investor will be entitled to the investment incentive and support based on encouraged industry and investment encouraged geographical area. Specifically, special incentives are applied to enterprise who invest over 6 billion Vietnam dong, around 240 million US dollar, and who invest in the supply chain associated with the product research and development R&D center. Besides the investment incentive and support, Vietnam now the attractive destination and production center of ASEAN, Asian, even in the world. In many the industry producing raw material and like the textile, sewing, packing, wood, electronic, CT, ICT, and as well as we are more and more to innovation and upgrade the logistic. Such advantage like a good basic or a foundation for enterprise who produce the toy, the raw material, and auxiliary material for the industry in Vietnam. Ladies and gentlemen, at the conference today, we're looking for the discussion from representative of Asian Toy Associates and as well as the enterprise enjoy the seminar. All the point of view of foreign and domestic enterprise about discussion about opportunity in Vietnam, and even that the policy recommendation to support business and production expansion in Vietnam. All the proposal and recommendation is very important for Ministry of Planning and Investment to advise the policy to government to contribute to building for the dynamic and attractive the environment in Vietnam. Ladies and gentlemen, along with joint effort of other government agencies, the FIA belongs to the Ministry of Planning Investment of Vietnam, plans to continue accompany to further support foreign investment in Vietnam. We win on way respect and uphold the slogan, "Your success is our success." I hope today online conference will provide you an useful information and each enterprise can get the good opportunity, potential investment and production opportunity in Vietnam in future. And at the end, that I wish the conference will get the success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Vin. I mean, you mentioned some very promising and excellent results that Vietnam experienced in FDI last year, and despite the pandemic may have slowed down, the flow of business and the flow of travel to Vietnam. I believe that what you mentioned is very promising for all the businesses that are looking at Vietnam for investment. And also you mentioned very rarely so the availability of raw materials, which is extremely important, especially in the complex supply chains of the toy industry, where high quality raw materials are essential to make sure that companies can manufacture really safe and high quality toys. But let me quickly talk about a little bit what we see in terms of the toy and play sector in Vietnam. ATPA has been looking at Vietnam for many years, and of course we put a lot of focus. We have a lot of our members with presence there, and we try to support them as much as possible. Some quick statistics in terms of how the toy sector is shaped. There are more than 100 domestic establishments that produce and manufacture toys. A lot of them are local. A lot of them are sort of spin-off from China and from Hong Kong. Of course, despite there is a lot of presence of unbranded toys, there is definitely a huge growth and a huge appetite for safe and high quality toys, and that is why reputable brands like, for example, Mattel have started increasing their presence in Vietnam. And I think the plans for a lot of those brands is really to increase the presence there, because it's a really promising market. And as you can see here, we have some statistics in terms of the size, which is $5.2 billion US dollars, which is really a good size, and definitely a promising market. As you mentioned, the population is an ideal demographic. Out of the 96 million people, 36% is aged between 0 and 14 years old, and this means that there are a lot of potential customers out there. And the middle class is also fastly growing, and is one of the fastly most young middle class in ASEAN. And of course, growing means that they have a good spending power, good purchasing power, and also good taste. And we see the trend that a lot of young parents, they are happy to invest more money and invest more of their their salaries in high quality and safe and branded toys for their kids. Of course, this is a trend that we see across ASEAN, but in Vietnam in particular, we see double-digit growth of the toy industry, really fueled by this strong middle class. The imports in Vietnam have also increased, as well as, of course, the various output. And of course, we don't have statistics for the second half of 2020, but for sure in the beginning of 2020, there's been an increase in imports from China, as well as also continuing from 2019. A lot of those imports, of course, are branded toys, but there is also a large percentage of unbranded toys, which is something that maybe we need to look at to make sure that they are safe for the children to play with. E-commerce has been booming like everywhere else, I would say, globally, maybe fueled by the pandemic, but also in general is a trend that we've already been seeing over the past 5 to 6 years. There are more online retailers that offer a bigger range of products, and also incentivize with easy returns, door-to-door delivery, and so on. Of course, ATPA in this instance is working very closely with its industry partners to make sure that the toys that are offered on those online platforms are again are safe, are branded, and are original. They're not counterfeits, because this could have really a bad impact on children. Generally, and this is also what Mr. Vin touched upon, I mean, Vietnam has been scaling up a lot of international rankings, including, for example, the Ease of Doing Business, being in the top 5 of Southeast Asia, which definitely make it very attractive for investment, as well as, you know, the new public PPP, public partnership laws that, you know, have been improved, clarified, and really give a lot of attention to foreign players. There's been a simplification of compliance costs in general, which are all like measures that ultimately will help business and foreign business to flourish. Something very important I would say to highlight regarding Vietnam is Vietnam is one of the most open economies in Asia, and is part of 14 free trade agreements. Some of them are bilateral, some of them are like group free trade agreement, like the last one, the RCEP, the Regional Cooperation Economic Partnership, which is, you know, definitely opens up a lot of opportunities for manufacturers, for exporters to really sell that product to a lot of jurisdictions, in, you know, allowing those products to enter other markets with low or no tariffs. This is in particular very important for the toy industry. As I mentioned, it's a very complex, sometimes it's a very complex supply chain, and often some of those products are facing a lot of hefty tariffs when they reach certain markets. So for sure, FTA, free trade agreements that Vietnam has in place definitely help with this, you know, with trading. When it comes to the toy policy and regulatory framework, there is a very good framework in place based on international standards. So from our side, ATPA definitely welcomes, you know, Vietnam government to set up standards which are in line of international standards. So basically, they don't need to reinvent the wheel, and the reputable manufacturers can just apply the same standards that they already use to import and to manufacture in Vietnam. When it comes to conformity assessment for toy products, there are 3 schemes based on the toy that you want to import, and this again helps a lot the businesses, because based on the business model, they can choose the right scheme to apply, and this will definitely minimize the cost in order to sell and to import into Vietnam. Generally, we see that you know, Vietnam is a very promising market, as I mentioned. Of course, it's important always to seek advice and also to be up to date with the various regulatory developments that can be, you know, new free trade agreements, new rules, new standards, and so on. It's always important to conduct you know, due diligences with the right partners, and of course in this ATPA can help and put you in touch with the right partners that can help you to develop the business locally. Definitely, it's a very dynamic market. As I mentioned, there is a very strong middle class very well connected, and you know, daily on social media. So, you know, being on social media, being on the internet, trends move very fast, and it's very important to have a fast go-to-market strategy. So as something you manufacture, you want it to reach the consumers as fast as possible, because the trend, as it comes in, it can go away very fast. So very important to keep, you know, offerings up to date, inventory up to date, because all these demand varies across the year, and often they may not follow, you know, other countries, but they may follow certain, you know, for example, local celebrations or local holidays and so on. very important. They have a strong local network, which definitely can help you to find those niche markets and tap really the potential of Vietnam. In this regard, the ATPA has done a lot of work on Vietnam. We have published last year a market primer that really gives an overview of the Vietnamese toy market to companies that want to invest there and they want to discover the opportunity. So please do feel free to contact us if you would like to get a copy. I think it's definitely a good publication that we've been that had a lot of success after we published it, and really gives a grasp of what Vietnam has to offer to all the toy and play companies. I'm gonna stop there. Don't want to take too much of your time because we have Mr. Kien from the Vietnamese Chamber of Commerce, Deputy Director General for the International Relations, that will tell us a little bit more about the supports and the resources that VCCI has to offer. And again, I would like to express my sincere thanks to VCCI for taking part to this webinar, and hopefully it will be the first of many other collaboration that we will do together with ATPA and also IETP. Mr. Kien, the floor is yours, and I'll be flicking your slides. Thank you very much. Are you there?
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to thank organizers of this event, Asia Toy and Play Association and Ethical Toy Program, for organizing this important event. And I'd like first to introduce Vietnam Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So can we have a slide 2, please, Matteo? Thank you. So VCCI was founded in 1963 in Hanoi, and we are the only national organization that assembles, represents business community employers and business associations in Vietnam. We are independent, non-governmental, non-profit organization, and we have status of legal entity and operate with financial autonomy. Through our activities, both in Vietnam and abroad, the Chamber has been actively contributing to the innovation of the country, improvement of business environment, development of mutually beneficial public-private partnership, stimulation of economic growth, and Vietnam integration in the regional and international economy. Next slide, please. Thank you. We have two major missions. First one is to represent Vietnamese business community for promotion and protection of the lawful, legitimate interest of the business community and employees in Vietnam in domestic and international relations. And second, we promote development of businesses and cooperation between businesses, business entities, offer assistance in trade and investment, economic technological cooperation, and other business activities of enterprise in Vietnam and abroad. Next, please. Great. Basically, our functions are three. We improve business environment by recommending, advising state authorities on legal matters and economic policies for improvement of business environment. We contribute also to negotiating process of bilateral and multilateral agreements on trade and investment. We conduct necessary activities for protection and legitimate interests of business enterprises. And in the second function, we enhance business capacity and promote trade and investment. It includes a wide variety of activities, including disseminating information and consulting businesses, assisting businesses to improve trade and investment through activities of matchmaking, seeking partners, training courses, etc. Our third function includes supporting the registration and protection of intellectual property and technology transfer in Vietnam and abroad. And we also issue certificates of origin for Vietnamese export commodities. Now, in the next slide, we are going to talk very briefly about current economic situation in Vietnam. As you all know, pandemic of COVID-19 last year greatly affected our economy. However, with the efforts from our government and all our people, we have been trying hard to survive and to keep our economy afloat. And to a certain extent, we were able to maintain our economy growth, and our GDP growth in last year was 2.91%, which I think made our country, Vietnam, one of the very few in the world last year that kept our growth positive. And for this year, 2021, our government has set the target of achieving GDP rate of 6.5%. And GDP per capita, we're aiming at $3,700 per capita. That is our target for this year. Next slide, please. Yes, thank you. For other data about export import, I will not be talking long, as Mr. Vinh from FIA has been mentioning it already. So Matteo, can you please skip slide 7 and 8 as well? Yeah, thank you. So you can see Matteo has been mentioning, and I fully agree with him about the potential of Vietnam. Our population is currently about 98 million, and majority of our population is very young. So we have I think about 22 million children at this moment. This is a great market for toys. Of course, with current income per capita, majority of people are not able to afford so-called high-level, high-standards toys from famous brands like Lego or Fisher-Price and others. And currently, majority of our toys that are imported to Vietnam or manufactured or consumed mainly are low-level, affordable price toys made domestically or imported from China. However, if we see the growth rate of our economy and prospects of our population, I think it's only a matter of time that the number of high quality, high standards toys will be taking a bigger and bigger share in our market. So I do hope that speakers and participants of this webinar will take this opportunity to exchange information, discuss to find solutions, provide initiatives to contribute to the fact that more and more high quality, safe educational toy market will grow. And that's, I think it's our hope of all people here. And VCCI is always here to stand by you, to cooperate with you, and to assist in order to create a favorable business-friendly environment for investment, for domestic production of toys. And with that, allow me to conclude and to finish my presentation here. And may I wish all distinguished guests and participants health, wealth, and happiness. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was great. I think VCCI is definitely the right partner on the ground to support and definitely also help this the growth of the toy market in the country, in Vietnam, and definitely from our side as ATPA, we look forward definitely working more together. I'm mindful of the time, but we are still doing pretty good. I would like now to invite Ms. Carmel Giblin, CEO and President of the ICTI Ethical Toy Program, to talk about the Ethical Toy Program, what it can offer, and so on, and how it can help you. And of course, the Ethical Toy Program has already a strong presence in Vietnam, which it's great also to partner up with. Carmel, floor is yours. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Matteo. And thank you to Mr. Vinh, Mr. Phu, and Mr. Kian. A lot of what they have said, we see also at the Ethical Toy Program. Vietnam is a very interesting market for the global toy industry. factors like the ease of doing business, the large consumer market, and the growth in wealth of the population in Vietnam makes it very attractive, and a market that the Ethical Toy Programme has been working with for some time now, and is delighted to see continue to grow both in scale and importance for the global toy industry. I'll just take a few minutes to share some information with you on the Ethical Toy Programme to keep you up to date with our activities and to make sure you are aware of who we are and what we do, and importantly, how we can support you. So this slide shows you some information about our programme. We were created back in early 2000 when the global toy industry came together and wanted to ensure that it was acting in a way that was responsible, particularly in regard to the treatment of workers producing toys for the global consumer market. So together with all parts of the toy industry, the factories, the retailers, the licensors, the workers, and the toy companies themselves, we set the standard for ethical manufacture. And what that means is we are looking at workers and the treatment of workers. So we are not involved in product quality or product safety, but very much focused on workers and the impact also the manufacturing process has on the local environment. We offer social audits, factory assessments, and factory certification. And in order to help ensure that the factories that we are working with can achieve the standards required, we provide a lot of support in regards to training and capability building to help the factories understand what is required of them by global and domestic buyers to achieve that standard, and importantly, to maintain that standard. We are very focused on ensuring that workers who work in the factories producing toys are well looked after. So their well-being is of paramount importance to us. And we have developed to offer support for our factories to implement other programs that go beyond labour standards compliance. Areas such as the provision of childcare within the factory are really important added value for the factory to both attract and retain workers. We offer a worker helpline, which is recently launched in Vietnam after more than a decade of operation in mainland China. And importantly, we seek to collaborate with others to offer a full package of support to the toy industry. So we're delighted to partner with the Asia Toy and Play Association, one example of how we collaborate. If we move on to the next slide, you'll see that at our core, we have 3 programs. Our certification program, which involves on-site visits to factories and audits. If a factory is certified under the Ethical Toy Programme, it means that their buyers can be confident they have no outstanding non-compliances. So it is a very much trusted and respected assurance programme, meaning that buyers and factories can focus on other areas of their operations to ensure their business is successful. So it is mostly used, that full certification is mostly used with first-tier suppliers. We also have a social impact assessment program, which is used for suppliers beyond Tier 1 in most cases, and particularly important in the licensor-licensee community, where it provides valuable oversight. It is not a replacement for certification. It is a different type of program for a different need. And then we have our Best for Worker programs. And these are programs that we develop based on working with factory management and factory workers to understand their needs and look at ways that as a community, as an industry, we can have really positive impacts directly on the lives of workers and their family. If we move to the next slide, it will just show you where the Ethical Toy Programme is. Like the global toy industry, we too are global. We have a real strength in mainland China because China has been and still today is the #1 country producing toys for the global market. But Vietnam is an increasingly important a country. We now have more than 100 factories in our program in Vietnam, and it is the #2 in terms of scale for the global toy industry. So a really important country for us, and one that we are delighted to be working within. The next slide just shows you the categories that our program covers. So although we are ICTI ICTY Ethical Toy Program, we actually cover many more sectors than toys. And that is important because the toy industry has been a very seasonal industry historically. So many of the factories that we work with will produce toys, but will also produce other products outside of the seasonal demand and the peak production for toy industry. So about 20% of the factories in our program are actually in the packaging and printing sector. We also now work a lot within promotional goods and gifts and other seasonal items that are a different seasonality to the toy industry. But at our heart, we are about the toy industry. We are experts in the toy industry and passionate about supporting the success of the toy industry through ensuring that its reputation as a responsible industry is maintained. The next slide will just show you some of the companies that we work with. Many of these companies you will recognize, and also the retailers. So everyone from Lego, who are currently chairing the Asia Toy and Play Association, through to much smaller companies. The ethical toy program is accessible to everyone. We want small companies and medium-sized companies to have the same confidence that they are meeting their consumers' expectations by being responsible as the very largest companies. And most global retailers will either accept or require our program. So the good thing from a factory perspective is if your factory is certified under ICTI Ethical Toy Program, you will be meeting many of your customers' needs, and therefore you will not have to undergo multiple audits or participate in different programs. The global toy industry recognizes and accepts ICTY Ethical Toy Program. My next slide just is a reminder really of the advantages of working with Ethical Toy Program. As I said, for buyers, the fact that all non-compliances are satisfactorily addressed in order for a factory to be compliant gives you a huge peace of mind, and also allows you to focus on other priorities in your day-to-day operations. It also, in ensuring that those non-compliances are addressed, the factories are supported. So we are very committed to stability in the supply chain, and we achieve that by really helping the factories understand and fix issues in a long-term sustainable way. We are the program of choice for the global toy and entertainment industry, so nobody understands this industry better than the Ethical Toy Program. We are, though, not just about toys. We cover a broad range of industries and sectors, which means that we can be your program of choice for all of your procurement needs. We're global, as the slide earlier showed, and we have teams on the ground. So we're delighted to have local representation and our local team members working in Vietnam to support our factory members and our buyer members in market. And we're leaders in worker well-being. So we have evidence and demonstrated measurable business benefits for the factories that we work with in improving the lives of their workers directly. So we bring a lot. We're here to support the success of the global toy industry, ensure that it has the highest of reputations in terms of being a responsible industry, and we're very excited to continue to work and support the success and growth of the toy industry, specifically in Vietnam. The next slide will just show you my contact information. Please look at our website to find out more information, or feel free to contact me directly if you have any questions or require any more information about the Ethical Toy Programme and how we can support you. Thank you very much. Back to you, Matteo.
Thanks a lot, Carmel. This is absolutely, as you know, I mean, fantastic what you guys do, and we'll definitely continue working together to grow also your presence in Vietnam, as a lot of companies going to set up shop there. I am particularly proud of the time management today. We still have 5 minutes for some questions, and we did receive some questions. Perhaps VCCI could address, or maybe the FIA, I'm not sure. I'll just read out the question. Vietnam in recent years has attracted a lot of labor-intensive manufacturers, which I guess is good. When do you think this will reach saturation? I believe this is very pertinent to the toy industry, because for certain toys the manufacturing is very labor-intensive. Perhaps someone could give their views on how fast labor-intensive industry will reach saturation in Vietnam.
I guess Mr. Vinh from FIA is more suitable to answer the question, Matteo. But do we have still Mr. Vinh with us?
Let me check.
If Mr. Vinh is not available, I will take that question, Matteo. Here. Wonderful.
I'm here. Yeah. So about the liberate in this sector in Vietnam, I am very glad to announce information with you that in the 2020 Vietnam government, in the my speech, I remind about this point. Does Vietnam have a new investment law, and is go into force in the 1st of January of 2021. In this case, we know the limitation for the produce, the toy, and everything, except it's relate and harm the culture or any the health. And so, but I believe that all the regulation is matching with the healthcare, international healthcare regulation. And so up to now, that all the manufacturer in section in Vietnam, we liberate in following the ASEAN, ATPA already agreement. And so Vietnam now the free for the freedom for the manufacture all the spare part, all the material, raw material for toy section. And so about the produce toy in Vietnam, as I talk, remind again that Vietnam no limitation in this section.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I think we are almost running out of time, so we'll probably take offline those other few questions that we received, which are quite specific to the manufacturing and in particular to the toy industry. So perhaps I can circle them around, and then we can circulate them back together with the slides of the presentation and the recording link. And please allow me again to thank all my fellow speakers and all the guests, VCCI, FIA, IETP, and of course Asia Toy and Play Association for having graced and for having joined, for having spoken at this great first webinar on the opportunities that Vietnam has to offer for the toy industry. And please stay tuned. We will be definitely in touch. Please don't hesitate to contact us if you want more information, if you have questions, if you want to get in touch with the experts. And again, stay tuned, because I'm sure we will do more webinars of this kind, and we all look forward to really contribute to the growth of the toy industry in Vietnam. Again, thanks very much for attending, and have a good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you very much, and take care. Stay safe.
Thank you very much.